Welcome to the world of tomorrow. The 1939 New York World's Fair was designed as a demonstration of humanity's ability to come together and use the tools of today to build a better tomorrow. The fair's main symbols, the Trilon and Perisphere, housed Democracy, an exhibit prepared by the American Planning Association in conjunction with the fair's organizing committee to demonstrate the future of the city. Grover Wayland, the main architect of the fair, was born in Flushing, Queens, and envisioned the fair as a great demonstration of promise for the future and a great symbol of his hometown. The fair was designed to be the everyman's fair, with Mr. Wayland inviting President Franklin Delano Roosevelt to officially open the fair on April 30th, 1939, with over 206,000 people in attendance. The opening of the fair corresponded with the birth of broadcast television as the ceremony was broadcast throughout the New York area. The grounds of the fair covered 1,216 acres and accommodated 45 million visitors over the 2 years that it was open. Over 200 movies were produced for the fair, with most major corporations in all Western countries except Germany creating pavilions. The organizers of the fair had a grand vision for the future and sought to utilize the fair to overcome the poor conditions they perceived in the city of the day. The Regional Planning Association of America illustrated these conditions in their film The City, which was first showed at the fair.
Out the past. Forget the quiet cities. Bring in the steam and steel, the iron men, the giants. Open the throttle, all aboard, the promised land. Pillars of smoke by day, pillars of fire by night, pillars of progress. Machines to make machines, production to expand production. There's wood and wheat and kitchen sinks and calico, all ready-made in tons and carload lots. Enough for tens, thousands, millions, faster and faster, better and better.
Lewis Mumford, a co-founder of the RPAA and producer of The City, was a proponent of planning for a region and sought to remove individuals from the blight and poor conditions in the city of the early 20th century.
Light industries are near at hand. The heavy ones are set apart. People can even walk to work and have their lunch at home sometimes, just like the kids. This is no suburb where the lucky people play at living in the country. This kind of city spells cooperation.
This rationalist approach to planning sought to start from scratch with entirely new developments. The idealist vision presented in the city shows the recently completed town of Greenbelt, Maryland, that was built as part of FDR's New Deal. The town was designed to be walkable, with a focus on local industry and the school as the center of the town.
Each house is grouped with other houses close to the school, the public meeting hall, the movies, and the markets. Around these green communities, a belt of public land preserves their shape forever. The children need the earth for playing and growing, bringing the city into the country.
The town was designed not as a suburb, but as a self-sufficient entity that could replace the evils of the city with a peaceful and bucolic suburban setting. The Greenbelt towns represent the height of the RPAA's influence in American planning. The implementation of garden cities in America proved more difficult than Mumford and the RPAA anticipated. The rise of the automobile and the baby boom following World War II collided to favor an alternative idea, one that also debuted at the 1939 World's Fair.
You and your children, the choice is yours.
Norman Bell Geddes was the preeminent designer of the 1940s modern style. His vision would shape architecture, automobile design, and most importantly, highway and land use design. He was hired by General Motors as the lead designer for their exhibit at the 1939 World's Fair. The exhibit, Futurama, went on to become the most visited exhibit at the fair. Futurama was constructed as a 3D scale model of the United States and was designed to show the ideal future cities. Unlike the city, Futurama focused on the automobile and highlighted the use of superhighways to bring people from new town suburbs into the city. Above the model, fairgoers sat in movable seats that rotated around the model while a narrator explained the benefits of having it all. The bucolic suburban life of the RPAA advocated for in the future of the city was shown as a short ride on the superhighway. Visitors to the fair were presented with two starkly different visions, one with self-sufficient towns that were walkable and small but traded within their region versus the interconnected metropolitan area with the automobile at its core. Ultimately, it was a different technology that also debuted at the fair, which would ultimately catapult GM's vision of Futurama into public policy. This newly debuted technology was television. This new innovation was shown in a vision of the future with new levels of connectivity and communication to create new heights for consumerism and democracy. This was promoted and exhibited at the World's Fair by RCA, the Radio Corporation of America, and NBC, the national broadcasting company, as they introduced the first regular television service, beginning with the opening ceremonies of the fair on April 30th. This was the first mass introduction to television for many Americans. While most at the opening ceremonies braced the cold to watch the commencement of the ceremonies in person, 9 television viewers were located within the RCA exhibit where attendees could watch in the comfort of the heated viewing room. Even grander in scale, the World's Fair was broadcast from the Empire State Building for a radius of 50 miles to an estimated 200 television sets in the New York area. The hope of this new technology was to create a new mass consumerism culture in response to mass production for a prosperous world of tomorrow. Television was being heralded as a new tool to address the issues of the Depression, fascism, and communism through new communication and social interdependence. Even more so, television was hoped to be a community builder as a way of dispensing information in the belief of fostering closer communities.
Well, it appears that everybody's ready. And into the spacious luggage compartment with the bags. Careful, that's Grandma's present. Get in, Rex, you're going too. And their 1940 Chevrolet will get them to their destination.
The Futurama's vision of the future where superhighways crisscross the country symbolized progress and hope in a troubled present. What many people, both everyday citizens and planners alike, saw in General Motors' vision of the future was a reprieve from unhealthy congestion of the American city at mid-century. Futurama showed a decentralized city connected to suburban towns and free of slum and blight. Little did they know, planners in the post-war period would realize the vision of Futurama as the United States government would undertake one of the largest public works projects in history. The interstate highway system would realize the dream of Futurama and change the face of the American-built environment. Although the planners of the highway system did not follow either Getty's Futurama or Dreyfus's Democracy, they contributed to the popularization of highways among the public. The popularization of the superhighway by Futurama cleared the path for the development of the interstate highway system. Futurama's vision of a city connected by superhighways so that citizens could live in garden cities and work in the urban core proved to be extremely popular. The manifestation of Futurama in the interstate highway system helped facilitate the migration of millions of Americans out of the urban core and into the suburbs.
This is the story of an average sort of fellow who lives in a nice average neighborhood in a nice average town. Every night he comes home to his nice average house.
However, the unintended consequences of the interstate highway system darkened the legacy of Futurama. The realization of GM's goal for auto dependency proved to have deleterious effect. Futurama promoted and popularized the unsustainable development of the nation's cities while ignoring other, often more sustainable modes of transportation and development.
That's when Grandpa moved out, when the streetcars came. A good many moved out about then, and the neighborhood began to change. Property values went down fast, but landlords found ways to keep up revenues. 1-family houses became 10-family houses. Time, poverty, and neglect did the rest.
The highway helped facilitate white flight out of the inner city. Rather than making the city a better place, decentralization only led to the hollowing of the urban core and in its place left a dilapidated and depressed inner city neighborhood inhabited mainly by minorities. In order to deal with the dilemma of urban decline caused by white flight, cities began programs of demolition and revitalization in adversely affected neighborhoods. The urban renewal projects of the post-war period attempted to use the same ideas, popularized by Democracy, to alleviate the urban crisis by cutting highways through the cities and orienting downtowns towards the automobile. In their wake, the highways left neighborhoods demolished and the urban environment forever scarred. And it was exhibits such as GM's Futurama at the 1939 World's Fair that laid the foundation of America's auto-oriented environment. Through capturing the imagination of the American public and envisioning a future based on hope and progress the country built, the world of tomorrow